we've got coming up Carib Coin, and this is led by Jan Schroeder. And just to give you a little bit of background, they're pleased to announce the successful completion of the second meeting of their Carib Advisory Group. And they've been talking about this for a very long time. And they're about to unfold this particular Carib Coin and to show you how it's going to be used to purchase. And they obviously have the proof of concept, and it's going to be very interesting and engaging. We are looking forward to seeing how this unfolds as persons are online. Thank you for your patience, those of you who have been waiting online to witness this live payment using Carib Coin. So I don't want to waste any more time. I know there's a team online. Thank you very much for your patience and waiting online as we witness this is a really historical moment here. So I'm going to invite Jan Schroeder to the podium and his team, and I'm going to let him introduce you. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. I'm going to let Jan introduce his team, and if you will come on the stage, and let's see how this unfolds live here in Barbados, the first payment platform using Carib Coin.
Thank you. So thank you, everybody, online and offline. So it's time for action, as we've heard, and that's exactly what we're here for. We'll be connecting 3 Caribbean islands right here, Barbados, Trinidad, and St. Vincent, connecting in terms of finances, transfers. I will not do all the introductions. Joshua Batson from our team will introduce a whole bunch of folks which will be part of this, and fingers crossed that this works. This is live and on stage. This is not a recording. Some of us are 3D, some are 2D, but we're all here live. Josh, up to you.
Thank you, Jan. As Jan said, today we're here to put implementation into practice, take out the shoulds, coulds, woulds, and get down to real business and provide real value to businesses within the Caribbean. We'll be joined today by a number of participants. You can see some of which are on stage, and I'm going to see if the tech team can actually put our virtual participants on screen so we can see their boxes or faces, however they may be right now. Excellent. So we've started to see one. Perfect. As they continue to come in, I'll start with introducing the Carib Coin team. So we have a number of groups here today. I'll start with myself. I'm Joshua Batson, Senior Venture Strategist working with the Carib Coin team. To my left, we have Jan Schroeder, Chief System Architect and Director of Carib Coin. On the TV, you'll see John McDougall, also part of the team. There's a Daniel Taylor there as well. And then kind of focusing on who we have in front of us as well, we have our advisory board consisting of Anthony Abed, Dr. Patrick Antoine, whom you're all familiar with, as well as Rodney Taylor from the CTU on screen. Then we're getting into the businesses who are actually going to be participating in the live transfer today. They're all part of Goddard Enterprise Limited, so the GEL Group. From there, we have Paige Bailey on the top right. I believe he's with Anthony Ellie as well. All right, that nod signifies a yes. From Allied Caterers in Trinidad and Tobago, we have Cherise Langton-Thomas, bottom left of the screen there. From Goddard Catering in Barbados, we have Juliet Nichols. Thank you. And then from Carise Hazels in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have Ezron John, whom I believe is also within the panel of virtual participants, but you just don't see his face at this moment. So without further ado, I'll pass it to Jan to provide a brief overview of what Carib Dollar is, how it can be used, and from there we'll go on to some brief conversations with the advisory board, with the businesses, and get down to business with the live transfer. So passing it on to you, Jan.
So thank you, Joshua. And could we have the presentation and maybe the clicker, please? So what is all of this about? We have been hearing about connecting the Caribbean through maritime corridors. We have seen a lot of connections happening here on stage, which I love to see because collaboration is actually the clue to make something so complicated and systemic work. There's still one little piece missing. So you want to have a transfer of wealth. So people need to transfer value. They want to get paid for their trades, and getting paid in the Caribbean as soon as you do cross-border transfers is no fun. Definitely no fun. So what we at Carib Coin aim to do is to make cross-border transfers easy, fast, and cheap. And when I talk about fast, you'll see transfers happening here today within seconds. And these are real transfers. This is not just some kind of a technical mimicking what we're doing. These are transfers. There's legal stuff behind it. There's value behind this. Goddard Enterprises Limited, as a proud partner of CPSO, just as us as well, have said we will support this. Their companies have signed up. They have bought Carib Dollar. And now, what is this Carib Dollar? So let's have a quick look at what's a problem with the financial system in the Caribbean. So if you do transactions, cross-border transactions, you have high transaction and opportunity costs. You have large opportunities missed for regional trade and the CSME. So there are calculations that say that trade would go up by 50% if we have a single Caribbean settlement system. And causes are the high dependency in the US dollar. Sometimes as a private person, you wait 6-8 weeks until you get hold to it. If you want to do trade between TT and St. Vincent, Patrick already mentioned that one, takes eternities or you have a 30% surplus if you want to buy US dollar. And transfer of funds heavily depends on correspondent banking, which are leaving the region on the other side. So it's a disconnected financial system, and we'd like to connect that. And connection is something that is direct. That's something we have been living through this day. So there were direct connections up here, and we need to connect businesses directly. So what we propose is Carib Dollar, a complementary currency. Complementary currency designed specifically for cross-border transfers of businesses in the Caribbean, which makes it easy that one business directly transfers value from its wallet to the wallet of another business. No banks in between, it's direct the system. This will foster regional trade, specifically aggregate, and offers a fast track towards digital CSME. Now you might ask yourself, what is a complementary currency? So it's a currency, there's no central bank behind this, but it's a private company, Carib Coin, which creates this complementary currency. It exists alongside national currencies. And at any place in the Caribbean, it can be exchanged against the national currency. So actually, when you're in Trinidad and you have Carib Dollar, you can exchange it into Trinidad dollars. Then you send it to Barbados. There you can exchange the Carib Dollar into Barbadian dollars. If you send it to Jamaica, you can exchange it into Jamaican dollars. So it's one digital asset you can send directly, which has a fixed value. That's the idea behind it. It's a legal vehicle for value transfer between all CARICOM member states. And we're not the first to do that. In Switzerland, for example, there's the VIR. There's a complementary currency since 1930s. It's not digital, though. Now it is, but then it was not. Swiss companies use it to transfer value of 2.5 to 3 billion per year between businesses. So we took this and adapted it to the Caribbean. So in a nutshell, easy to use and safe digital currency with a stable value. It's fully compliant with regulatory requirements. So onboarding is regulated, KYC and AMF. It's governed, and this is the important part, by consent of Caribbean public and private stakeholders. That's why Patrick is here. That's why Rodney is here. This is the first group, our advisory group, helping us setting this up. And this is definitely necessary because we want this to be something for all Caribbean businesses. It should not be owned by one private company. It should be governed by consent of Caribbean private and public stakeholders. So what will we do now? I told you we'll do action, so I'll stop talking very soon. 3 subsidiaries of Goddard Enterprises Limited in 3 different Caribbean countries, Trinidad, Barbados, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, will do cross-border transfers within seconds by using Carib Dollar. They have already bought Carib Dollar, they have it in their wallet, so they're ready to transfer. And everything legally necessary for this buying Carib Dollar and setting up wallets has been done for this proof of concept, which takes place in a private setting. It's Goddard Catering Group, it's the Allied Caterers Limited, and Korea's Hazel's Inc. And what you'll see now is really the focus of what we're doing. To the left, you see we have been setting up wallets, we have created accounts. The companies have bought Carib Dollar for Barbadian dollars and Trini dollars. This has taken place. Now, the core thing is to transfer Carib Dollar because the general idea at the end is not on-ramping and off-ramping all the time, but Carib Dollar should flow through a network of business. That's real connectivity, not on and offboarding into whatever currency, be it the US dollar or the Carib Dollar. And that's why we're focusing on the transfer. That's our core value proposition to businesses to have direct opportunity to transfer value from one country to the other, from one business value to the other. We can sell Carib Dollar for EC dollar, Korea's Hazel is in St. Vincent, but you don't have to. You can reuse it. So this is what you will see today. And with this being said, I give it to you, Josh. The other slides I'll show at the end.
Thank you, Jan. And just to the tech team, we can get rid of the presentation right now and go back to the digital folks. And now that we are all aware of what Carib Dollar is a little bit, I want to turn the floor over to our advisory board and ask them a couple of questions, mainly each of them to really understand why they support Carib Dollar and how they support Carib Dollar. So to do this, I'm going to start with our virtual participants. Perhaps I'll start with you yourself, Rodney. So I'll turn the mic over to you.
Sure. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
One more try.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a real pleasure for me to be a part of this initiative today. The Caribbean Telecommunications Union, or CTU, is the primary CARICOM agency with responsibility for promoting ICT-enabled development regionally and supports any initiative that will bring us closer to realizing a digital CSME. Our primary stakeholders are the governments and ICT policymakers in the region, but we also support private sector initiatives in this space because we understand the power of collaboration. And while I don't speak on behalf of the CPSO, who's in the room, I believe that they too understand the value of supportive government policies in promoting ICT-enabled social and economic development and the respective roles of governments, private sector, as well as non-governmental organizations. I'm pleased to say that Carib Coin is a private sector member of the CTU for almost 2 years, and the CTU sits on its advisory body, as you heard, to lend our support because it is a very big piece of the puzzle with respect to removing barriers to trade within CSME. Our role is to ask the right questions when we meet with the Carib Coin principals in the interest of our primary stakeholders, the governments of the region. We also provide a platform for our policymakers to understand the implications of this technology and how it can support their own efforts to drive digital transformation at the national level. As you know, there's no economic sector that is not impacted by the power of digital technology. Digital payments, complementary currencies have the power to facilitate seamless and cost-effective transactions within CARICOM. Carib Dollar therefore represents a unified digital currency that can streamline financial transactions across CARICOM, fostering greater economic integration and reducing transaction costs. It enhances financial inclusion by providing accessible digital financial services, thus empowering underserved communities. So in this context, we are excited to see an initial focus on agriculture, and we anticipate that if implemented successfully, it has relevance across all economic sectors in the Caribbean. And by embracing this initiative, we are not only modernizing our financial infrastructure, but also positioning the Caribbean as a leader in digital innovation, driving sustainable economic growth and regional cohesion. And we wish Carib Coin success on the transfer of the first of what we anticipate of many Carib dollars. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ronnie. Great words and really appreciate all of your support. At this point, I'll turn it over to Anthony Abed for just some general comments. Again, detailing why you support Carib Dollar and then how you do so as well.
Thanks, Josh. Good afternoon, everyone. So my support for Carib Coin is based off of two different folds. I look at Carib Coin as the product and then as the people behind the technology platform and the product. I'm going to borrow a bit from what Dr. Antoine said this morning, where we're driving towards the creation of wealth throughout the CARICOM region. And in my mind, Carib Coin directly contributes to that wealth creation by providing a simple, fast, reliable, and transparent payment mechanism for cross-border trade and transactions. The second tier of it that has my full support, because I've had the honor of working very closely with the Carib Coin team over the past few months, is the people behind it. They've demonstrated grit, they've demonstrated dedication to the project, and the ability to work and implement agile and lean methodologies in a way that drives true impact and deliverables with a small team. So in summary, where I sit from my position in Sobo Ventures, we're committed to seeing Carib Coin become a successful enterprise throughout the Caribbean region.
Thank you, Anthony. Dr. Patrick Antoine.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you very much, colleagues. And certainly on behalf of the CARICOM private sector, the executive committee, the governing bodies, and the ultimate governing bodies of our organization is the membership. We are all delighted to be part of this very important initiative that is, in fact, Carib Coin and the Carib Dollar for a number of very clear reasons. The private sector is about creating economic activity. It's also about people. It's also about wealth. And for us, anything that comes between those three principal objectives and goals of the private sector are certainly constraints that we are always committed to working collaboratively with our partners in eliminating, and in finding solutions. We're doing precisely that. In 2017, in a study which was commissioned by the CARICOM Secretariat and funded by the European Commission, it was identified in that study for the first time that the foreign exchange was in fact a principal non-tariff barrier. We hear about non-tariff barriers and we think about it in terms of licenses, people not being able to import certain products without getting the authorization from the agencies in the importing country. We hear about it in terms of standards. But in 2017, the largest, most significant impediment to trade amongst our countries, particularly those where you have one central bank governing the currency of the exporting country and another central bank governing the currency of the importing country, was foreign exchange. And so for us, the relationship with Carib Coin and Carib Dollar begun with this notion that there is a problem and there is a potential solution. As we say when we close the doors in the private sector, that was the pain point, and this was the medicine. And so Carib Coin and Jan and his team joined the CPSO as a member. And of course, that allowed us to continue the collaboration towards finding the workable solutions to these problems. But there was another problem. The other problem is that if you look at the way that trade takes place, a lot of trade is based on building networks. It's about relationships. People trade because they trust each other. They trade because they're able to build relationships, and networks are principal for that. So for instance, we believe that if we're able to create through Carib Coin this relationship among businesses, we'd strengthen trade, but we also strengthen trade with second and third parties, and that's important for us. So we see it as a medium to building networks with lots of value in the networks. And finally, we see Carib Dollar and Carib Coin as a store of value. over time, as it becomes a lot more accepted and more businesses are onboarded, we believe that it gives us immense latitude to do some very interesting things with this as a store of value. So the CPSO is delighted to be part of this very important initiative today that we are certainly going to be seeing the first pilot of what we believe will be a very successful initiative, and we want all of you to join us on this journey. It will certainly take a lot of commitment. It will take a lot of us working with governments so that they put this on their agenda by clearing the way for us to build the relationships and the network that will enable and unlock the immense potential that exists for trade within the CSME. And so on behalf of the executive committee, I just want to say how proud we are and to recognize that Goddard's stepped up to the challenge, and through their representative on the executive committee, Anthony Ali, put the resources of the group to work. And that means a lot, putting the reputation of your group behind an initiative like this. And this is precisely the kind of relationship and the kind of leap of faith and commitment we'd like to see more businesses take in the community. And I only end with this very well-known cliche: nothing ventured, nothing gained. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Antoine. And I think that's a perfect segue to bring in Anthony Ali just for some general comments as well.
Thanks, Josh. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you well.
So on behalf of our CEO, Mr. Anthony Ali, and the GEL group of companies, we are proud to assist Carib Dollar in demonstrating their fintech platform for a number of reasons. As a regional entity with numerous companies across the Caribbean, we often, trade among ourselves. So, Carib Coin enables the group to conduct and settle, interregional trade without necessarily, relying on an intermediary bank, something that was alluded to by Dr. Schroeder earlier, which is significant for that interregional commerce. So the Goddard Group also strives to support entrepreneurs and fostering that Caribbean innovation and helping them succeed. So if successful, Carib Coin, could transform how small to medium enterprises conduct business regionally, and additionally, larger entities such as the GEL Group have a responsibility to stimulate the economy and the economic growth at all levels. And so lastly, I would just like to say that it's gratifying to see that homegrown technology, developed to address some of the challenges that Dr. Anton would have, alluded to, instead of relying on kind of imported solutions. Thank you, Josh.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Paige. So now I guess it's time to get to the medicine and see how this really works. To do this, we'll start by setting the stage a little bit and talk to you about what's happened so far. So as Dr. Schroeder mentioned, the businesses have set up their wallets by now. The purchasing businesses in Barbados, so that would be Goddard Caterers and then Allied Caterers in Trinidad, they've all purchased Carib Dollar already. Carib Dollar is on their wallets, and they're now purchasing products from Carias Hazels in St. Vincent. And I'll let actually Juliet, perhaps if you want to let everyone know what's actually being purchased today, so we can really ground this in practicability.
Yes. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Today we are purchasing sample products from the entity. And well, let's take it from here, Josh.
Excellent. Okay.
Yes.
One last question for Paige before we do the actual live transfer, and that would be, Paige, why did you decide to use Carib Dollar for this transfer?
Yeah, sure, Josh. To kind of what I would have, said, already just now. It's just really more how functionally easy it was to set up the wallets, and how efficient it was to transfer, when we were doing our tests between entities interregionally. And again, supporting an initiative that allows for this interregional trade, something that we have that has posed that the regular financial systems has posed some challenges to in the past, is really one of the biggest reasons why Garters wanted to be on board with this homegrown initiative. Thanks, Josh.
Excellent. Thanks, Paige. And just to clarify, I believe we are purchasing some agri-trade or agricultural goods from Carib Hazels. Is that correct, Ezron?
Yes, that is correct.
Perfect. So we're going to start this pilot, and I'll ask Juliet if you can share your screen, please, with the Carib Coin app open.
Sure.
So as Juliet pulls that up, just for some background, once their wallets were set up, they were asked to create an account on our online application, which they use with their business information, including their email. And through that application, they'll have access to the other businesses who are part of this network. So as you'll see on the screen, we have the dashboard from Juliet, from Goddard Catering, and you'll see the available balance in her wallet. Now, Cherise has a similar screen open for the company she works with in Trinidad, Allied Caterers, and they're both simultaneously going to do this process together. First, they're going to just simply request to transfer Carib dollar. They would decide how much they want to send. In this specific pilot, the agricultural products are being purchased for a value of $210 US. One Carib dollar right now is pegged at a stable value to $1 US, just for ease of planning. So as you'll see, what's going on is they're entering the 210 Carib dollar amount to be sent to and received by the entity in St. Vincent, Carib Hazels. There's a fee attached to that at 1.5%. It's calculated, so you'll see it's very transparent. And the receiving entity will get their complete 210 Carib dollar with a small fee, in this case, 3.15 Carib dollar being retained for the actual transfer. They're writing a note within the note section of what the purchase is for. You can include your purchase order number in that section as well. Then once Juliet is done, she'll just click submit. Perfect. And you'll see the request is created. Now, what happens is Juliet, as she goes back to her main screen and refreshes it, she'll see a pending balance for transfer. Excellent. So you'll see the pending amount there as 210 Carib dollar. And we'll just wait a little bit, maybe 20 seconds. So on the back end, the transfer actually goes through using digital ledger technology. And then we'll wait maybe 10 more seconds, and then ask Juliet to refresh her page, and that should have gone through. Just a couple more seconds there, Juliet.
Yes. I'll try now again.
All right, let's try reloading it now.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting a little bit more. I think it's just some waiting on the back end. It's still fast compared to a bank transfer, but it does take a little bit of time.
True. I'll try again now. Perfect.
Excellent. So as you can see, the value has been transferred. It's no longer seen in the wallet of Goddard Catering. And I'll just get Ezron from Carib Hazels to confirm that he's received in his dashboard the amount, which would be at this point a total of 420 Carib dollar.
Yes, I have the 420 in my dashboard.
Perfect. So you've seen from this the purchaser's side, their dashboard, they've now successfully transferred the value to the supplier. And all of this happens through digital ledger technology, specifically the Stellar network for us. This is a very widely used technology. It's safe for a number of years. It was 2008. And then since then, MoneyGram has relied on this technology as well. So it's used by reputable international businesses. That's one of the reasons why we rely on it as well. Now, we can take it at face value that this transaction or this transfer has gone through, but we can now have an immutable ledger to show us the history of all transfers that have gone on, simply searching the wallet number. And we'll show you from, again, Goddard Catering's wallet on the Stellar network, their transfer history. So you can see that this has actually happened right in front of your eyes and value has transferred to another business. So I'm going to ask Danny, who is on the call, to share his screen from the Stellar Blockchain Explorer. And Juliet, thank you very much. You can stop sharing yours now.
You're welcome.
Thank you, John. So this is the account for Goddard Catering. You can see there's a value of 0 Carib dollar on the top right. John, if you just scroll back up, value of $0 remaining in the wallet. And then if we go down to the history, we can see that it was transferred, sent 210 transferred today at this moment to the entity in St. Vincent, in addition to the 3.15 Carib dollar in fees. So all this is now live happening. So at this moment in history, Corais Hazels now owns all of the Carib dollar that has been produced, and they're able to either reuse it or sell it in exchange for their local currency, in this case, Eastern Caribbean dollars. So that concludes the live transfer demonstration. But I want to turn it over to our participating businesses because they've been really helpful and trusting in this endeavor. And I want to hear from them how their experience has been working with the Carib Coin team and especially using Carib dollar in comparison even to what their usual routes for transfers. So I'll start with yourself, Ezron, because I haven't given you the platform to speak yet.
Good afternoon, everyone. Using the platform, it's quite simple to set up, and the actual processes involved are quite simple. They're easy to follow, and even the actual processing of transactions, it's a very simple process. And when you compare it to the formality that you have to go through sometimes with the competitors, the formal banking system, it's a lot simpler. Even the redemption process is quite simple as well. So difficulty-wise, it's a very simple platform to use, and you should not have any difficulties completing a transaction with it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ezron. Cherise, over to you.
Hi, good day, everyone. So my experience so far with the platform has been really good. It has proven to be very efficient and easy to use. And because of the real-time acknowledgement of the transaction, we can perform business decisions even faster than our traditional ways of making payments.
Excellent. Thank you, Cherise. That efficiency is one of our main points that we try to get across. On the line, there should be Judy Allen, who hasn't shared her screen yet, but who's been really integral throughout this pilot and this proof of concept. So it'd be really great to hear from her right before we hear from Juliet. All right. In this case, we'll start with yourself, Juliet, and we'll see if Judy's around after.
Sure. I'll echo what Cherie said just now, and I'm focusing mainly on efficiency. And of course, our usual way of doing business, it takes a couple seconds, well, a few seconds to get the transaction done compared to having to wait probably a day or two to pay suppliers. So the trial, it didn't have any, it was very seamless. So I'm hoping as we go forward that we can, leverage on the use of CaribCoin. It was fantastic experience for me, to be honest.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Juliet. And we'll wait to hear from Judy, maybe a few seconds.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey, Judy.
Good afternoon. Yes, it's been a pleasure working with the team on this endeavor. I echo the comments of Sharice and Juliet, the efficiency and the visibility, the transparency of what's going on, make it absolutely one of the easiest tools from an end user perspective. And that's what we like to go for in our businesses. So the way that you've worked with us to set up the approvals throughout the process to make sure that our internal checks and controls are built into the system really makes things more efficient as well. So I would like to bring that out, right? It's not a paper being signed by individuals. It is electronic notification, and then they do their approvals. So it's been very nice in that respect.
Excellent. Thank you for highlighting that, Judy. I think it's important for everyone to also understand that as we're building this out, we're working with the businesses who are becoming part of this network to make sure that the platform really does offer them what they need in order for it to provide the utmost value. Lastly, within the GEL group, I'll turn it over to you, Paige, for any last thoughts, anything you'd like to share. And then after Paige provides his last feedback, I'll turn it to Dr. Schroeder to close us out.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Again, thank you, Josh. I can't find any more adjectives to say ease of use or efficient. I think they've all been exhausted, but I would like to echo what everyone on the GEL side already has said. Compared to traditional payment rails, it really has been a pleasure to work with you guys and see how fast and efficient the transfer can be. I will say though that this was a proof of concept demonstration, and we have seen that the system can function, very effectively and efficiently. But I will say is now all the real work starts. As we know, we need, regulatory support, from regional central banks, and to ensure that, they're on board with this essential technology, and, and they provide approval for us to move forward in building this out, throughout the CARICOM. And secondly, I just want to say that we must also ensure that all, major capital owners throughout the region endorse this platform to kind of establish that credibility going forward. So I look forward to, being along for the journey with Carib Coin. So thanks again, Josh, and thanks everyone.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your continued support. Over to you, Jan.
Could I have the slides, please, again? And before I go back then, many thanks to all of you in the Goddard's group. This has been a pleasure. You just imagine, this is conglomerate meeting startup. This is perfectly designed processes which have grown over decades versus, I would call it an experimental setup. And there was something manual behind. This is why we had to refresh 3 times. As soon as we have it automized fully, it will take not more than 5 seconds. So thanks a lot. We're looking forward to future collaboration. Now, as Paige has pointed out, this has been a proof of concept. This has been a proof of concept with some goods, agricultural goods, probably sweet potatoes to be transferred, paid by these transfers. If we really want to make this a big thing, the Caribbean currency for cross-border trade, well, first of all, we came here, and thanks a lot for having the opportunity to collaborate with Connect Caribe. I would love to continue that. We have to do something on our side, and we'll go through this very quickly. We need some licensing. This was a private setting. Central banks know that we have been doing that. We have been writing with them, and they said, okay, there was no objection from them. So we did this. If we do this full scale, we'll need a licensing. We'll go to the Cayman Islands and get a license as a virtual asset service provider. And our payment service providers on the ground who will be agents to distribute will get their licenses with the respective central banks or regulators. Then definitely our product development, I said there's some manual stuff in there still. We'll automize this. We'll make it integratable, make an API first application so we can integrate, for example, into the e-commerce platform where we hear more about today and into other platforms as well. Team building is a major effort. We're growing now. We have to think about how do we do liquidity management and a lot of other things. And we have to set up through marketing and collaboration with CPSO and others, a network of business actually using this. Technology is nothing if it's not being used, and that's why we are here. And that's my call to action today. I was too fast here. Where is it? No idea what happened. It doesn't like my last slide. Patrick has something to say, so I don't know what this technology is like. Register here to become an early adopter. And Patrick has something to add to this. Up to you.
Yeah, so colleagues, I want to tell you how I held my breath at the beginning of the exercise because I was eager to get at proof of concept, which I have not seen. But I want you to understand what's really happened in this room today. What's happened in this room today is that someone sat in Barbados and ordered agricultural products, sweet potato from St. Vincent, to be delivered to someone in Trinidad. 3 different currencies. What happened today took place in a couple of seconds. Let's call it a minute. What's happened today is that people that you know and I know who wait for payments for a month, and I'm on record, so I'm speaking clearly, that I know people who are waiting to be paid. Rampasad is here and my colleagues, in countries because there is no foreign exchange. They're on the list. That has prevented people who are hurt. You have your TT dollars, but you imported the product in Trinidad or Barbados, I'm told, from time to time. But you can't get the US to pay the supplier. So the supplier is not going to send you anymore. And the supplier is a farmer or someone who purchased from the farmer. So the farmer doesn't get paid. What's happened is that we've just shown that there are solutions to this problem. Now, Ambassador Thomas, what you said earlier is important. You do this, you put it on those vessels. You put it on those vessels, yes? And we now have, rather than product not having the capacity to be shipped, right? Product being shipped. And my dear brother that will come on, we've put you in a difficult position with electronic commerce because you're coming, as you said, after so much has been said. But when you put that together, it allows anyone in this room to order sweet potatoes, not just Goddards or anything else, carvings, right? From any one of the countries on your platform because they know it's there. And with Yan's system working behind your platform, they can pay for it there. So that's the scope for collaboration right there. The solutions that we have to these problems in CARICOM are in our hands. And I can tell you how you can provoke your politicians. Proof of concept, say to them, all of you put up $1 million in support, yes? And see, when you put that on top of this platform, on top of it, because we don't need the money to do this, it's complementary trade, how much trade it generates, yes? So these ideas that we have can only be bolstered if we get our governments to support it. But the first thing is the license. We need to get the governments to say, look, phase 2, give the guy a license. Let's monitor it strictly in all the countries. It's not just a Barbados thing. And let's see where this takes agricultural trade and intra-regional trade over the next 6 months. And let's measure it. And let's talk to the people as we talked today. We heard them speak today about what their experience has been. So for me, I'm excited. And I'm so excited, I'm telling Jan, I'm going to invite you to the Caribbean Week of Agriculture in St. Vincent. And at that time, I want us to be in a position to actually buy, Ambassador Thomas, and ship the sweet potatoes. We will buy it and ship it, some to Trinidad and Tobago and some to Barbados, using the platform. And my brother, I'm calling you to action because we want to use the electronic commerce, and we want to ask someone in this room to volunteer to be one of the persons. We will give them the funds to buy on your platform. We're so serious to buy on this platform. And we're going to do this demonstration at the Caribbean Week of Agriculture in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We need to stop talking. So whoever the volunteer is, please give your name, and we will do this so that the region will know that we have the solutions to these issues that prevent us from growing and creating wealth. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, guys.
Nothing to add.
You're going to be able to shop. Yeah, I was thinking on behalf of the ladies and the amount of shopping, the contribution to the increase of e-commerce spend, makeup and hair, and oh yes. So I think that people are rubbing their hands together. The ladies are rubbing their hands together. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for that historical moment that we just saw there, in being able to, get us into the 21st century. That's where we are heading to. So if we don't get on board, we get left behind. And earlier we talked about wealth transfer, and wealth transfer can only happen if you get on board with what is happening in the digital realm. So thank you very much for your presentation, and we look forward to hearing more about this in the press, in your press releases, your training, because it's a new concept. So I know we've got a long road to go in terms of allowing persons to understand fully the full benefits of this new coin. So we look forward to, if you tell us where we can go to get more information, your website. Did you share your website? Let us know where we can go to get more information. You did that as well.
It's CaribCoin.com.
CaribCoin.com. Okay, so we will keep our eyes on CaribCoin.com. So thank you very much, gentlemen.